I'm sorry, there's no here. We discovered a dead baby in the bathroom.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry. It came out in me and I didn't know what to do.
Lexi, I told you about this.
But
I just asked you, baby, to tell me the truth.
I've never seen anything like that, and I pray to God I never see it again.
Millions of people have seen this body cam already, but when this girl goes on trial for the murder of her newborn, the 12 jurors who will decide her fate will not. The state Supreme Court of New Mexico just tossed what might be the most critical pieces of evidence in the state's case against Alexee Trevizo.
The doctor had set her up with the police, their words, not mine, where they ambushed her.
Alexee's lawyer just joined us to talk about why this means everything to the defense of a girl who is charged in a horrific crime, charged with first-degree murder. We're on The Case, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. This is a massive ruling in this case that goes back to 2023. And Alexee Trevizo, her lawyer, tells us is ecstatic about the decision. It just came down from the New Mexico Supreme Court yesterday. Now, Alexee is still charged with the first-degree murder for what reportedly happened at a hospital in the middle of the night in January of that year. But if and when she goes on trial, prosecutors will not be able to use the statements that she made when she was confronted by police and hospital staff after she allegedly gave birth in a bathroom and then put the baby in a trash can and then went back to her room and didn't tell anyone. And inside that trash can is where state autopsy records say the baby died. Now, one of the pieces of evidence that's been tossed in this decision, this moment that was caught on police body cam.
I'm sorry, there's no here. We discovered a dead baby in the bathroom.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry. It came out in me and I didn't know what to do.
Lexi, I told you about this.
But
I just asked you, baby, to tell me the truth.
It was not crying or nothing.
What did you do to it?
Okay, stop right here.
I
Stop,
just
stop.
put it in-
Number one priority, guys. Number one priority is she just had a baby. I don't know if she's delivered the placenta. She's bleeding significantly.
Yeah.
I've spoken to the obstetrician at Loveless. They want her up there as soon as possible.
Okay.
Obviously need your permission to transfer her for medicals. She needs to
She's
be
19.
Oh, you're right.
But she is a student too.
She's
No,
still
no,
19
you're
years
right.
old.
You're right. She needs to. I'm sorry, I forgot she's
A
19.
lot came out of me.
You need to make sure that you're safe. I need to send you to Loveless to labor and delivery. Will you please agree to that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Whatever.
great. I'm gonna work on that. In terms, I'm sorry about this, but in terms of delivering a baby and it looked like you tried to hide it, we do have to have the police involved.
And nothing was crying. It came out with nothing.
I know. But the baby's gonna have to be taken for autopsy and there'll be an investigator and everything. I'm really sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but we need to do this correctly. And I wanna be transparent with you about what our steps are gonna be. Okay. Officer, do you guys need to talk to her before we get her transferred?
How long is it going to be before you have to transfer
I
out?
don't know, are we working on,
Okay.
Marina,
So-
do you think 20-30 minutes?
Yeah, hopefully, yes.
Okay.
I got detectives on the way, so
Okay.
they're going to be talking to her.
Okay.
So,
Do you guys have, I'm the charge nurse here, do you guys have any questions for me?
Like, how big is the baby?
It's full term.
What?
Nothing,
9 months?
nothing was crying.
Lexi, have you watched the news of the girls that what they do to their babies and what they go to jail?
Nothing was crying.
Attorney Gary Mitchell, who represents Alexee Trevizo, not just in the criminal case, but a civil case where they're suing the hospital for wrongful death of her baby. He's here. He's going to join me in a moment to talk about it. But before we do that, I want to lay out how we got to this point. And so let's go back to January 27th, 2023. Alexee Trevizo is a 19-year-old high school cheerleader, and she goes to the hospital in Artesia, New Mexico, rural community, in the middle of the night because she says she has 10 out of 10 back pain. She says earlier in the day, she had gone to cheerleading practice and maybe she had done something there to lead to the pain that she was having right now. Now, hospital staff do ask her if she's pregnant, and she says no. She does say she's on her period and there was some bleeding, but that's it. So let's talk about the timeline here, because it is critical not just in the case as a whole, but in the decision that the state Supreme Court just released. 12:18 in the morning. That is when doctors give Alexee an anti-inflammatory drug, acetaminophen. They give her a drug to prevent vomiting, and they also give her a muscle relaxer. 10 minutes later, doctors test Alexee to see if she's pregnant. Now, according to court records, this is standard procedure for someone of her age and someone who is complaining of the back pain that she had. 12:51 in the morning, Alexee's doctor and nurse are told that she's pregnant, and that nurse then allegedly continues giving Alexee her IV medications, which at that point included morphine, for 48 minutes. And Alexee's defense has pointed out that doctors did not come in to inform Alexee that she was pregnant. 1:39 a.m., Alexee's IV stopped because she says she has to go to the bathroom for a bowel movement. Now, hospital surveillance video shows her running to a bathroom, and she was in that bathroom for nearly 20 minutes. Alexee's mom knocks on the door, nurses knock on the door to make sure she's okay, but they don't go in to that bathroom. And inside that bathroom, police say that Alexee Trevizo gave birth to a full-term baby boy. 1:57 in the morning. That's when Alexee leaves the bathroom. She doesn't call for help. She doesn't tell anyone what just happened inside. She just goes back to her hospital room. 2:02 in the morning, court records say that Alexee's doctor performs a pelvic exam on her. Now, there was apparently a lot of blood, and still to this point, Alexee, according to these records, she wasn't told that she had tested positive for being pregnant, but prosecutors contend that Alexee knew she was pregnant. A big part of their case is arguing that she was hiding the fact that she was pregnant. We'll talk with her attorney about that more here in just a moment. 2:27 in the morning, hospital cleaning staff, they then enter that bathroom because there was a lot of blood. And that's when they reportedly find this newborn baby dead in a trash can. Just a minute later, that baby officially was pronounced dead, and court records state an autopsy performed by the state found that the baby did have morphine in his blood. Now, the doctor who was overseeing Alexee then calls the police, and police arrived 10 minutes later.
We did a pregnancy test on her, showed positive. She was denying that she had sex. Then she said she had to go to the bathroom. She went to the bathroom. She was in there for quite a while. We kept knocking on the door. Finally, we got her to open the door, and there was blood everywhere. She was cleaning it up. So we took her back to the room, and I was afraid that she knew she was pregnant. She had done something to herself. So the doctor started doing a vaginal exam on her. We had the lady come to clean the bathroom. She put the baby in the trash can, and then she put another clean liner over the top of it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So when they looked in there, there was no trash in there, but it was underneath the clean bag. The baby's dead. Okay, we have him in trauma too, but she killed the kid.
Yeah. How old was the baby?
I don't know. It's full term. She just had it. She had it in the bathroom. Was what happened, and then whatever she did, I don't know. She's gonna lie. She wouldn't tell us she's pregnant. She's been lying the whole time.
Deputies then go down the hallway with hospital staff to talk to Alexee about what they found. So it's important to watch this next part, because this is central to what just went down with the Supreme Court.
I'm sorry, there's Sarah. We discovered a dead baby in the bathroom.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. It came out of me and I didn't know what to do. Alexee, I told you about this. I just asked you, baby, to tell me the truth. It was not crying or nothing. What did you do to it?
Okay, stop right here.
I
Stop.
just
Stop.
put it-
Number one priority, guys. Number one priority is she just had a baby. I don't know if she's delivered the placenta. She's bleeding significantly.
Yeah.
I've spoken to the obstetrician at Loveless. They want her up there as soon as possible.
Okay.
I need your permission to transfer her for medicals. She needs to
She's
be med-
19.
Oh, you're right.
But she is a student too.
She's
No,
still
no,
19
you're
years old.
right. You're right. She needs to. I'm sorry, I forgot she's 19.
Keep out of me.
But you need to make sure that you're safe. I need to send you to Loveless to labor and delivery. Will you please agree to that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. I'm gonna work on that. in terms, I'm sorry about this, but in terms of delivering a baby and it looked like you tried to hide it, we do have to have the police involved.
And nothing was crying. It came out with nothing.
I know. But the baby's gonna have to be taken for autopsy and there'll be an investigator and everything. I'm really sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But we need to do this correctly. And I want to be transparent with you about what our steps are gonna be. Okay. Officer, do you guys need to talk to her before we get her transferred?
How long is it gonna be before you have to transfer
I
out?
don't know. What were you working on?
Okay.
Marina,
So-
do you think 20, 30 minutes?
Yeah, hopefully, yes.
Okay.
I got detectives on the way, so
Okay.
they're gonna be talking to her.
Okay.
Do you guys have, I'm the charge nurse here, do you guys have any questions for me?
Like, how big is the baby?
It's full term.
What? 9 months? Nothing was crying. Lexi, have you watched the news of the girls that what they do to their babies and what they go to jail? Nothing was crying.
Any other questions? Okay.
Right. So as of right now, like what I said is, we're gonna have the detectives come over here and they're gonna talk to you, okay? We have to gather some more information about what's going on. They'll get your statement, they're gonna get the doctor's statements, they're gonna get everybody's statements, okay? So, I don't know everything yet, okay? So I'm not gonna tell you, I can't tell you nothing honestly, okay? All I can say is,
Gonna go to jail.
right now,
No.
right now, she's being detained. So she's not gonna leave from here at all, period, okay? So one of us will
Is
be
it in your custody? Like,
yeah, she's detained. Yeah, she's not under arrest, but she is
Okay.
detained. Okay, she's not free to leave. So while this whole thing is coming up, is you're not free to leave. Okay, one of us will be in here the whole time with you, because you're not going to try to leave or nothing like that.
she
All right.
won't.
Like I said, the detectives will be here. They're going to talk to you. I mean, your care is of the utmost right now. Okay, they're going to do what they need to do to take care of you to make sure you get stable. They get you transferred out or whatever. Like I said, the detectives are already been notified. They're already on the way, so they're going to come talk to you, all right? So don't leave, don't try to do nothing. One of us is always going to be in here, in this room with you, okay? Unless we have to step out for doctor's orders, something like that, because if they need to examine you or do something with you. But other than that, like I said, you are detained. You are not free to leave at this point. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So on the surface, that seems like very damning evidence if that was shown to a jury. Again, prosecutors are contending that she knew she was pregnant ahead of time. She was trying to conceal this. And they also are contending that an autopsy proves that the baby was alive when that child was born. And Alexee then puts the baby in the trash, and the baby ends up dying of what's called entrapment because the baby was in a plastic bag. But the New Mexico Supreme Court ruled that the video, the statements you see Trevizo make to doctors and nurses, and what she said in front of police, all of those things that night are now out. Trevizo is charged with first-degree murder and tampering with evidence. There was an abuse charge initially she faced, but that was dropped. A state autopsy, again, finding the baby died of what's called entrapment. The manner of death was ruled a homicide. A district court judge in August of 2024 ruled that police should not have been brought into the room, and those statements that Alexee made that were caught on police body cam, they violated physician-patient confidentiality. And they also noted that Trevizo made statements without being read her Miranda rights. In the district ruling, quote, the district court explained that the statement made by defendant's own doctor that a dead baby was discovered in the bathroom was made in a highly confrontational manner, and by any reasonable interpretation is shocking, confrontational, and designed to elicit a response. Now, again, that was the district court ruling. The state then appeals, saying that Alexee did not have physician-patient privilege because doctors are required to call law enforcement in cases like that, and the privilege was waived also because Alexee's mom was in the room with her. It's important to note that Alexee was legally an adult at 19 years old. In November of last year, the New Mexico Supreme Court then takes up this case and they hear arguments. And this week, they ruled, siding with the district court ruling, that the statements that Alexee made to police and the statements that she made to doctors that night cannot be used in her case. And that also, according to her attorney, goes for video on body cam and video that was shot by the hospital that evening. Now, in their ruling, the Supreme Court noted that once doctors notified deputies that a dead baby was found in the trash can, their reporting duty was done. And the doctor-patient privilege still existed at that point. So this next line that is in the Supreme Court ruling, I'll admit to you, it's a little legalese here, but it's important. So let's just go through it, and then we're going to talk to Alexee's attorney here. Quote, the state's argument urges us to adopt a per se rule that whenever a third person is present who is not necessary for care or treatment while a patient communicates with their doctor, a waiver of confidentiality takes place, regardless of who the person is or of the circumstances. We reject that argument as inconsistent with case law and the policy interests underlying the physician-patient privilege, end quote. Joining us now is Gary Mitchell, attorney for Alexee Trevizo. Thanks for taking the time to be with us here. What does this ruling mean for your case?
Well, it means almost everything, actually, because most important, the right to privacy that she has, which is protected under New Mexico's Constitution, has been reaffirmed by the Supreme Court in a very clear and distinct way. She has a doctor-patient privilege, a hospital patient privilege, and therefore all the information that came from the hospital is inadmissible in court. But more important for this case, which a lot of people have not noticed, and I appreciate you asking about, is the Supreme Court taking on the absolute, frankly, malpractice of the hospital, the failure of doctors and nurses to render the care that she went to the hospital for, and the failure to tell her that she was pregnant, the failure to tell her that she might be having a baby, the failure to check, all of that occurred, and for which they, frankly, have attempted to cover up. So it's a huge change in the case. The Supreme Court's opinion is very clear, and there shouldn't be any question about it.
You know, a lot of people have seen the body cam video at this point of statements that your client made that night. What is it like when someone is watching that video? Maybe they're seeing it now for the first time. Why is what we're watching there a violation of her rights?
Because when you go see a doctor or you go to a hospital, your medical conditions are very private and always have been. We've accepted that since common law. Before we even had statutes and rules and regulations regarding it, we've accepted that knowledge. It's very similar to the privilege between lawyers and clients and priests and their penitents. And so that's the major issue. But in this instance, they go so far in the opinion as to indicate that the doctor had set her up with the police, and their words, not mine, where they ambushed her. And here we have a 19-year-old who goes to the hospital because she doesn't know what the problem is, doesn't know what the matter is. And I know people can find that sort of ridiculous because she was pregnant, but a lot of women don't know that they're pregnant. And if they did know they were pregnant, didn't know that they were about to deliver at the time. So that's the situation. But the hospital did nothing. In fact, the opinion reflects that for a lengthy period of time, almost up to an hour, they didn't bother to tell her that she was pregnant. They never told her that she was pregnant until after she had delivered the baby in the bathroom. And most important, they certainly didn't look, because she gave them information that any good doctor or nurses would know, wait a second, we may have a problem here. If she's still menstruating every month and she's pregnant almost at full term, we've got a major issue with this baby that they needed to immediately take care of and get emergency care for. They didn't do any of that. So
if you can help me,
the Supreme Court takes that on real clearly, and that's a big deal in our case.
Absolutely. And going forward, just so I understand, because, you know, this body cam video that, again, it's probably been seen by millions of people at this point, like that cannot be presented as evidence at trial. Like this ruling, though, does that, where does this extend? Because you do have the doctor who was in the room that night. You have those police officers, you know, they cannot, how does this extend to potentially them going on the stand and telling a jury what your client said that night? Like, what does this ruling extend to beyond just that body cam video?
It's out. They can't use it.
So no statement about what she made that night to any of the doctors, that cannot be used.
And those videotapes cannot be used. They're all out because they were taken by the hospital. And at the time, that setup to try to get something out of her was improper as well, because it violated the doctor-patient privilege. They shouldn't have been invited in. So all of that's out. That doesn't mean the state's not going to proceed to prosecute. They are going to continue, was what the state told the press yesterday. So that's my understanding. They're going to proceed, and they're going to proceed with she had a baby, and the baby was found, the baby was dead, and they're going to proceed and try to show that the baby was born alive, therefore she was negligent, and that's child abuse, and she's guilty of first-degree murder. That's going to be their argument. We disagree with that. We know our experts are going to say far differently, and so that's where we're going to end up in this case, I think.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, from your perspective, and again, we've heard, the state's perspective, a lot of stuff has changed with this ruling. From your perspective, from Alexee's perspective, what happened that night?
From my perspective, she's one of that, and it's a much higher percentage than people think, of women that do not know that they're pregnant, because she'd been having, as teenage girls typically do, I'm not pregnant because I'm having my period every month. It was classic. She thought she was injured from working out, had tremendous low back pain, goes there, tries to seek treatment. They run a pregnancy test. They don't bother to tell her that she's pregnant. They could have told her she's pregnant. That would have changed everything. They could have said, listen, we need to check. They didn't do anything in that regard. And they didn't do it for a lengthy period of time. In a hospital, an hour is a lengthy period of time without rendering certain treatment or even checking. A simple examination they would have known she was effacing at the time, and she was birth was imminent. But they didn't do any of that. So that's where we're going to head. And our position has always been, this is a total shock to this 19-year-old who had never even had a vaginal examination in her life. So it's a total shock to her as to what's going on, something she's totally unprepared for. And you've given her, as the Supreme Court noted in their opinion, all these narcotics. That means there's no way, with the trauma of birth, plus all the narcotics, including morphine, that she was in the right frame of mind or state of mind to be able to properly make decisions. And, for example, call out and say, I need help, or anything such as that. She just didn't know what was going on. And so the Supreme Court's decision, when you read it in detail, it pretty much states our defense in this case.
And I know
the fact that I know that child, that there were major problems that had occurred with the fetus, and that the child was in imminent danger.
The state autopsy believes that this baby died from what was called entrapment, from being put into a plastic bag. How do you believe the baby died?
I don't believe the baby was born alive.
Why is that? How do you prove that?
Through our experts. And I'm confident that our experts, who are far more experienced, have done this, have a greater amount of not only education, but skill and training. I'm confident that we can show that. And I'm also confident that we can show that there were major issues, that had she known she was pregnant, and had she had pre-birth care, we would have, perhaps people could have spotted or should have spotted, but that wasn't done. Because it's a small rural community. We just don't have enough doctors in these small communities to take care of everybody, and we don't educate well enough for young teenage teenage women, for example, to be able to get the care that they need. It's a sad comment about America's healthcare system.
You touched on this a little bit, but a big question will be going forward that she ends up going to the bathroom, whether she knew she was pregnant or not. However, the baby died. The baby is born, and she ends up going back to her room as opposed to calling for help. Why did she not call for help? How do you answer that?
Oh, it's pretty easy for me. I mean, you can't give her the massive amount of drugs and morphine and such for somebody that's never had any of that kind of stuff before in their life. That's, this isn't some young woman that's been an abuser of drugs or an abuser of alcohol. I mean, imagine the amounts that they gave her. There's no possible way that we would have ever thought that she was competent to make such decisions as that. And the Supreme Court talks about that, by the way, when you read that opinion. And that came from the evidentiary hearing that we'd already had in this case and from the medical records. It's shocking the position they put this young woman in without protecting her.
And I know, look, there are media reports that are out there that is very different from something that's going to be presented in court. But there have been reports out there. The Daily Mail, has an article where there are friends who say that she knew that she was pregnant. That there are people out there who might be able to testify that she was very aware and spoke to people that she was pregnant. That it wasn't something that was just a shock that night. How do you respond to that? That's out there.
Chris, you know this from your involvement with the law. My greatest problem in this case is not from what's going to be presented in the courtroom. My greatest problem in this case is trying to pick a jury that hasn't been so influenced by people that didn't know what they were talking about, or people that didn't have all the facts and all the gossip, rumor, hearsay, speculation, guess, and conjecture based on social media. I mean, that is amazingly difficult to get around and amazingly difficult to try to deal with in defending her. And that's the huge risk in this case, is that we convict somebody not based upon facts and the law, but based upon gossip and rumor and hearsay.
Because I do wonder with that. I mean, I've seen the body cam video multiple times. I mean, you search her name, it's the first thing that'll probably come up on YouTube is those statements that she made. How are you going to be able to find people? I mean, how do you plan to address that to make sure that whoever's on the jury already doesn't know what was said in that video?
We'll do it the old-fashioned way. We'll do it with jury questionnaires, which the judge has already approved in this case. Approved us sending out jury questionnaires in advance to determine what people have of it. We have to depend upon their taking an oath that they're telling the truth, and that if they have information that they divulge it to us. That's always a risk, but at the end of the day, you have to rely on the consciousness of jurors to be fair and just and to base a case solely on the evidence they receive in the courtroom. And I'm not naive about that kind of thing. I've been doing this a long time. And I know sometimes jurors can set that aside. Most of the time they can't. And you have to just deal with trying to find jurors that haven't heard much about the case and certainly haven't been influenced by social media. That's going to be a difficult task. That's the most difficult thing in this whole case.
And, for Alexee herself, I mean, what's her day-to-day life like right now as all of this has continued on?
She's worked extremely hard. The conditions of release required her to stay at a certain location. She's always honored that. She hasn't gone anywhere without permission of the court or the knowledge of the court. She has not violated a single law. She was required to either work or go to school. She's gone to school full time. She's done that from home because she wasn't allowed on the campus because of basically a mob attitude about we don't want her on our campus and the threats to her life and to her safety. So she's done that and continues to do that on a daily basis, works hard every day at doing the right thing, and helps take care of her family. Her mom and dad both work, and she has certain responsibilities in that regard as well. And she's just been, you couldn't ask for a better client when it comes to that kind of pretrial conditions.
I know you can't, it's certainly attorney-client privilege, and you have conversations, but I mean, just generally speaking, I mean, what is her reaction yesterday when this news comes down?
It was ecstatic. She was very ecstatic about it. But on the other hand, I've made her very realistic about this, that this doesn't end the case, that I'm sure the prosecutor is going to continue, and that we have a trial, and all sorts of things can happen between now and then. The law is very subjective at times and not very objective. Hopefully science will be very objective, and I think our science in this case is clear that she really didn't do anything wrong, and there's nothing she could have done, even if she'd have been screaming for help from the first moment the baby passed through the birth canal. But in any event, that's the big thing, and she's realistic about that. And I've made her very realistic about it through my conversations with her, of course. So we'll deal with that as we go by. She's still very apprehensive about it, but the most important thing was when she read the decision and she realized what we'd been saying all along, the Supreme Court found, and really is now the law of the case and the facts of the case because of those evidentiary hearings. And what the district judge had originally done, and keep in mind, the district judge in this case was a nurse before she was a judge. So she had a lot of medical training, which is unusual for a lot of lawyers and judges to have. So we got real lucky with the judge, meaning we had an educated judge and a very learned judge who knew not only the law, but knew something about what should have been done in an emergency room. And then you have Supreme Court justices who also had a lot of knowledge. So, and of course the briefs, and in this instance, between the briefs with ACLU, we had certain physicians associations write briefs in this case. We had pregnancy justice write briefs. And at the end of the day, the thing you're proudest of in this case right now at this very moment is that New Mexico still believes that women have rights.
And just lastly, I know you're also suing the hospital for wrongful death in this case on the civil side, the criminal case continuing forward. I mean, what is the next steps for you on this going forward? If the prosecutors say they're going to continue on with this, they believe that this is a murder case, they believe that she committed murder. What's the next step on this now in the wake of this ruling that came in yesterday?
Well, the matters in civil court are going to be stayed pending this criminal prosecution. And I think that's pretty clear. New Mexico law allows for that and typically honors that. So we'll get ready for the criminal case. The court will receive a mandate from the Supreme Court, in other words, an order telling them to proceed. The court, these judges set these cases pretty quick or get us a setting. Now, it may not be a very quick setting, but I suspect we'll be going to trial in 2027. The court will set probably close to a month for this trial, and we'll set it well in advance so that everybody knows and we don't set any other conflicting cases at the same time. And that'll be done, I suspect, in the next 60 days, we'll have a trial setting.
Gary Mitchell, attorney for Alexee Trevizo, thank you for joining us here on Law and Crime. We appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you talking to me this morning.
That will do it for On the Case, presented by Law and Crime. Subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify, and we are also streaming on Peacock. I'm Chris Stewart. We'll see you next time.